Welcome to the January 2025 Tenant Detective product update. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the changes that we've made in the past 3 or 4 months, and we'll hit the highlights here to get started. We really had 3 key areas we worked on this past 3-4 months. The first was we streamlined our onboarding process for new prospects. We've also significantly revamped the recommendations engine based on what we call standards, which I'll get into. And we've overhauled the recommendations report that would get shared with you that makes it easier to compare options and really understand the recommendations we're making. So walking through those 1, 2, 3, first with the streamlined onboarding process. Again, we're trying to make that as easy as possible. So right now we've got it down to 3 screens for really for live approval for those that are global admins to give us access to your tenant so we can generate the report. If you don't want to go that route, we've got a web form you can use to submit your tenant information, and that'll get the process going. So again, we try to make it as easy as possible for those who aren't already working with us to get into the game and get Tenant Detective going. Second key highlight or key feature to dive into, and this really was the bulk of the work for this quarter, it's been actually longer than a quarter, it's been about 4 months. We've significantly revamped the recommendation engine that we use to generate our findings, and we're calling it standards. It builds on the model we had before, which was a usage-based model. What we do is we take a look at every user inside a tenant and we look at how they're using the features of the subscriptions that they have. And then based on that usage, we basically do a comparison to say, what do they need versus what do they currently have? And if there's a delta, we'd make a recommendation based on that. That's on a per user basis. Previously, we were providing recommendations that way, and it was kind of complicated. It was a big set of information and sort of hard to digest. So we took a look, thought about that, how would we solve that problem? And what we came up with is what we call standards. We chose the word standards on purpose because basically what it is, instead of it having the recommendations be on a per user basis, we've in essence grouped users based on similar characteristics and similar usage needs, basically forced categorized them into a standard. To give a simple example, if we only wanted to give a set of recommendations that had one standard, that would mean everybody got the same exact recommendation. Theoretically, we could give everybody an M365 E5 in almost every tenant, and it would cover everything they need, right? That's an extreme example. We take that logic and then we work our way down. We go from 1 standard to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. We could keep going. We stop at 5. We'll group all of your users into a standard, one standard, 3 standards, and 5 standards, and so you'll get 3 options, and then those will be the recommendations, and we still see significant savings out of that, and it makes it much easier for you as the client to digest what we're recommending and see how you might implement that in your own environment. And then related to that, the last big change was we did a big change on the recommendations report. We didn't really have a choice because the recommendations report before was based on this per user model. So we basically just re-envisioned what that ought to look like using standards as our basis. So we'll give you a nice tight 1-pager, has the 3 options on it with the 1 standard, 3 standards, and 5 standards. We show you a comparison and the percentage savings for each of those relative to your current cost. We also show you where the savings are coming from in the sense of some of it is from reduced licensing based on usage patterns. There's also unused licenses and what we call defunct users. Those are users who are no longer active in your tenant but still have licenses assigned to them. So that's a nice tight 1-page report that's easy to digest. It makes it easy for you to say, I want this option or this option, and create the path forward to get savings and then manage licensing going forward as well, because the standards are simple. So it makes it a whole lot easier then if you do have new users that come on post-renewal, you could match them up based on employee groupings and figure out which standard they ought to go into. In many ways, those were the 3 big things that we've worked on the past 3-4 months. We're really excited about standards in particular. We think it's a game changer for the way we present information to both current clients and to prospects. There's sort of a trade-off between complexity and cost savings, and so we think this really strikes a nice balance, and we hope that it's going to be a real beneficial change for all of you who are using Tenant Detective. So come see us, and we look forward to talking with you.